Welcome, guys, to day number 23 of the Heads Up Challenge. I'm Andreas Froehli, and today I'm joined by poker coach, two-card PLO specialist, Uri Peleg.
Yeah, I think it's. Oh wait, there's a cool hand on table. What's the name? Baby Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a 3-bet, a half pot, a small raise, and a shove. I'm curious what the hands are. Ah, that looks like a lucky river for Phil. Oh wait, we have an all-in on the other table, right?
Oh, that escalated quickly. And I think Phil's winning this with two pair.
Yeah, I think he was crushing on the flop. I actually had a different idea regarding why he's limping.
What was your idea for that?
And this comes from my heads up background. Like when I play someone and I'm just crushing him, I'm not going to change anything, right? And for the first few weeks of the challenge, Vinny wasn't limping, but he's winning every session. So whatever is going on is working for him. He's not going to change anything.
Mm-hmm.
And in my eyes, the fact that Vinny starts limping, this is like a sign of he's whatever he did that was working before. He's trying to do something else. He's in a way I'm smelling weakness, not like big weakness. Obviously, maybe he starts limping and now he starts crushing Phil again. But I think this means that whatever big edge Vinny had before, he's now looking for a different way. He wants to take the game in a different direction because just raising and facing 3-bets and that whole game tree, maybe Phil is not making the mistakes he used to be making, and Vinny doesn't feel as comfortable anymore.
I'm just gonna quickly drop that on Baby Spencer as we have still a boat on the river, so the flush card is relevant, but not as relevant as, of course, as on a non-paired board.
This is a 3-bet pot, right?
I think it is.
Yeah. So flush card could be really relevant because now if Phil has an overpair and a flush draw, he's beating Trip suddenly.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it always is relevant, but I think it's not as relevant in terms of like leading, right? Because it's still like Phil is still in the same role as on the turn, right? Vini having the polarized distribution of having it or having a bluff that blocks the continue range by Phil the Good. So yeah, and we see a call, and we see.
Oh wow! So Phil made what looks like a. Yeah, I'd say it looks like a pretty big hero call, and Vinny just had the the effective nuts. So ace 10 3 board, Vinny 3-bet. This is a board you'd expect him to bet pretty much always, right?
The 8-6-5.
No, I was looking at ace 10 3. Ace 10 3. I have the tables the wrong way around.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So on run good, ace 10 3. Yeah, you pretty much expect the 3-bet or 2. And he's always choosing that 51% sizing. I think that's what he's just selected. That's why also there's like a signature pot, the 7-2 69 98. Whenever Venividi presses that 51% button, you can also see on the turn it's always a little bit more than half pot, so always 51%. So that's half pot. And on the river, the question is, is he still strong enough to jam for value on the river?
So would he need to have the straight, or could you shove something like aces or kings still on the river?
Whenever you have that jack or queen blocker with it, you tend to still follow through, I think, with those hands because you block enough straights. And he has a pure
Nice.
bluff. He has the third pair blocker, a jack, and deuces. And I think the heads-up challenge is back. We see both the tables. And we already got a lot of action, as I think there is a check raise and then a 3-bet by Venividi on King 4-6 Rainbow. And also, why does Vini have already 49k on the left? I think they just have taken a break and then that's it. Guess they haven't reset the stacks then. Phil also calling the 3-bet, and now I wonder whether he has the 5-7-8 type of hand that didn't want to shove flop, and he's still shifting for some of these turn cards. He might as well have the nuts at this point with the 7-5-3. He has the 5-7-8, and unfortunately doesn't get there.
I'll ask you some pillow questions. So 10-8-4 Rainbow, whose board is that? Is that Vinny's board or Galfond's board? If you had to pick, or a tie, like who's ahead there?
I mean, in the single race pots.
No, it's a 3-bet pot. Vinny 3-bet.
3-bet pots. That's still pretty good for the 3-better.
So okay, so Vinny should bet most of the time, and then we have to be fast because the board's continuing. But king turn, so
king high frequency.
King turn is Vinny's turn as well, right? Like if the flop was good for him, the turn the board becomes even better. So it's surprising to see him check twice.
I mean, you know, every line gets taken, I guess, some of the time. But but the high frequency would be, I think, flop betting. But I think after you didn't bet flop just because the turn's a king, unless you actually connect with the king, I think you're not like delay c betting an insane amount.
Okay. So let's say you had,
but maybe
aces,
a reasonable amount.
If you have just dry aces and the turn is the king is at a hand, you would bet or would you check?
Well, with the ace of hearts, it becomes, I think, a lot more often a bet. If you have some of the suits, right? If you don't have the suits at all, then it's just a lot more likely that your opponent's going to end up having them if you don't have the cards.
And this is cool by the river, by the way, because Queen of Hearts is a card where a ton of stuff gets there. Yeah. So a lot of people really like bluffing those cards, and then they show up with the trashiest stuff sometimes.
I think Phil also has a lot of showdown value on the river with a lot of straights. So, but then also he could have sized up this river bluff with, you know, having the ace of hearts in his hand. So if he has ace lower straight draw, ace 8-7-5. No, that's probably
he could have. You know, there are a bunch of straight draws that missed. He could just have like a deuces and fives type of hand. There's so much trash you can bluff with when you're in position, but this time Phil does definitely not have trash.
Streets, by the way, 4-bet by Phil.
4-bet, okay.
Run much better.
Yeah, you tell me if I'm quizzing you too hard, but we have to be fast-paced because of the pace of the hands. But yeah, I really I'm learning listening to you talk about these things. So 4-bet pot, unless it's super connected, it's good for the 4-better, right? Like
good for the 4-better. Very good board for the 4-better. 10-5-3 Rainbow.
And so why is Venny potting? What the hell is he doing?
Well,
why would he do that?
The 4-better also has some bluffs, and
he has the ace, so the ace is making it more likely Phil has a bluff, so it's a nice leading hand. And looks like Phil was reasonably ahead, but got sucked out on. Oh wait, we have an all-in.
Well,
Right?
yeah.
Is that an all-in by Phil? 7-6. So we're nuts
Yeah.
against nuts probably in this hand. No?
Yeah, I
Oh.
mean, no. It's a 3-bet pot, and in a 3-bet pot, the 3-better has to protect a lot and play very aggressively with the hand, for example, he had. Phil gets to stab a lot of bluffs, and Veni has to check raise a lot to protect from Phil overstabbing on the 6-7-3. It's a lockdown board with just checking.
But yeah, by the way, if you think of it from like a sports perspective, this is Phil's home team, right? Everyone is cheering for Phil. Like we can see that.
Not everyone.
On the chat, is anyone cheering? I mean, I don't know Vinny, right? But it just seems natural to cheer for Phil.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
It
says run it once. Everyone's known him for years. So,
yeah. But at the same time, we don't know Venividi, and I think if we actually knew Venividi, like some more people would definitely be rooting for Venividi. Now it's either you're for Phil or you're against Phil. That's, I think, what's happening in the chat as well. There's definitely some people who are,
who's against Phil? I want to hear someone. That feels like going into a football game where everyone's scared to say I was against Phil.
All right, chat. Who's against Phil? Get in there, guys. Yeah, and some people just care also for the action itself. They like railing heads up PLO high 6 action here on the Galfond challenge, and they're just indifferent to have us winning here, but they just want to see big pots and see what's happening, see what the plays are.
Commentators should comment on a poker being played once in a while. That's a good idea. So we actually have a big pot now, I think. That's a pot-sized bet. 4 to a straight, 3 to a flush.
That's one.
And there's a big pot on the other table as well. Wow.
So Phil check raising, check shoving with either the blocker or the nuts. So does he have it here?
And how do you know it's Vinny? Like you just hope. Do you throw a coin, or just call when you have a flush and move on?
Well, it depends always what flush, and also it depends on what the other 2 cards are. You want no pairs from the board.
That's for Phil.
So you want a flush that doesn't have pairs from the board, because Phil is going to check with a hand that has showdown value and then bluff raise whenever he thinks he's actually behind.
But we were talking about something, but I forgot what we were talking about. About Galfond playing better. So I assume. Wait, we have a 3-bet pot, 8-7 deuce 2-tone, which we said is probably an evenish board. And Vinny pots flop, brick turn.
Bricks are pretty good for the.
Yeah. So here with dry kings or whatever, you could just rip it in, right?
I think you need at least some of the flush blockers and a pair from the board. If the SPR is like 5 or so, I could be wrong. And you don't want it like when the board features a flush draw, you cannot just mesh it in your over pairs with higher SPR than 3.5. Because the 8-7 still, you're still gonna have only 20% of equity against some flush draw pair plus straight draw type of hands.
Oh. Okay, so looks like Vinny checked the river, which this means in my eyes with the SPR, this means he's just check folding, but looks like I'm wrong. He actually check called. I would really like to see, by the way, kind of in the spirit of thinking of this as a boxing match, that after Phil is done with all the other challenges, and Phil is like in prime fighting condition, he has a rematch with Venividi. What do you think? I mean, of course, if he beats him, then never mind. But like we all said, this even if he's in better shape now, he's unlikely to win given the current deficit. But I'd really like to see a rematch a few months from now, when Phil has like 50, 100K hands with other players under his belt and a lot more time to think about everything that's happened.
Would be interesting. Maybe also get some different odds, or and maybe some more challenges this way. I don't know if he like wins the future matches. Let's say under the assumption that Phil's winning future matches, then that he tries to beat that one opponent or two that he couldn't beat in another match. Maybe we're gonna see. That would be interesting.
So big pot on hold one time, relatively 17K if any calls this bet.
Well, the Queen Jack straight gets there, the only straight. The flop open-ender it was as well, which kind of matters. And then Vinny ending up checking. The hard draw bricks, on the other hand.
So is this another one of those spots where Phil's gonna pot and he's gonna have the nuts or a bluff?
No. I mean, he can have all these turn-mate hands, the two pairs.
Wow,
In the sets.
and this is possibly the last session of the day. So this will determine who's ahead and who's behind today.
The last hand.
The last hand.
Fold.
No, you want him to call and lose. Come on.
Okay, that's
we need more money.
The fold is okay, because if the fold happens, we're in the green. Just fold. If Phil's bluffing there and he loses, we're in the red. That's okay. Last hand of the day, pulling off that bluff, maybe. Who knows? Good game from both players.